Peace, y'all. Peace to the family. Peace, love, and light. Peace, peace, peace. Let's see if I can turn these off. Peace. Ooh. Peace to the God. Peace, peace, peace. I'm poolside. You know what I'm saying? I'm poolside today. I want to bring y'all into a world of relaxation. You know, I started out early. I don't want to trigger nobody with none of my posts. So let me explain myself because I see y'all getting in y'all feelings. A lot of hit dogs is hollering. So let me calm y'all down. Let me give you up. See? They pulling up. Hold on. Let me give you a sense of calmness first. You see the water? You see the blue water? Let's calm down first. Let's calm down. We're going to have a very legible conversation about some things, okay? Please. Please, I ain't trying to take your ackee or your cassava from you. Chill. Y'all got it. Yo, Jamal, they starting to call me a hotep. Just because, you know, I'm saying stuff that's controversial. I ain't cool no more. Now I'm a hotep. I'm a hotep when they don't agree with me. Look, man. Y'all got it, man. Y'all got it. But this my thing. You feel me? Pause, yeah. You know, it's the politics and the food and the religion. Those are things that I've been told to stay far away from. But you really cannot appreciate the legacy of Sabi if you do not understand how disruptive Sabi was. Sabi was not liked. I don't care to be liked. I just want to be right. Right? I'm following the legacy of my stepfather. I don't want to be liked. I want to be right because truth hurts. And information is needed and necessary. You feel me? For free flowing information is needed and necessary. We got to challenge certain paradigms. This has not been working for us. We either got to throw it away or we have to be willing to look and see what has not worked and why hasn't it worked. Your suppressor, your oppressor, the first thing he figured out was to interfere with your food source, primarily, first and foremost, right? So, again, what was Sabi's position on Aki and the rest of that stuff? That it ain't real. It was made in a lab and it was introduced to an ecological system, right, with a bioweapon triggering it. Now, don't tell me that you've been eating it and X, Y, and Z and you've been all right. Nigga, you don't come from... Look. Calm down. Calm down. Let me just get some receipts. Just get some receipts on the board so we could talk legibly. Because people be in their feelings. And that's cool. You should feel passionate about, you know, everything that we talk about. But let's talk about the facts. Let's lay the facts out on the table. And then we could remix it and backslide. And you could tell me what your feelings and your opinions are. There's no situation, especially in the Caribbean, where they drop the population of people and they haven't figured out how to bake in a bioweapon to control the masses, right? And to destabilize them, to debilitate them. You feel me? So food is a bioweapon. That's their first line of defense against indigenous populations, right? And they've introduced these bioweapons into these environments, and then if a healer comes along and says, yo, fam, that ain't it, right? Because of these toxins that they have in it, then people want to fight that. But then ask, yo, why is these people so crazy? Why is these communities so destabilized? Why is shit off the hook? Why is this? Why is that? Why niggas be operating and acting like they eat cyanide wholesale? You feel me? I grew up around the shower posse, my nigga. Their mentality was different. their approach to motherfucking murder was different. They introduced killing niggas with, you know what I'm saying, like unceremoniously turning bodies into Swiss cheese. That was introduced to the Shower Posse. Gunplay without an option of not having gunplay was introduced by the Shower Posse. Crack cocaine was introduced via the Bronx by the Shower Posse, via Miami all the way up to the Bronx by the Shower Posse. And if the CIA has operations working through the Roman Catholic Church in these particular regions to turn the population into their own soldiers and their warriors and people who do their bidding, right? Their indoctrination does not just happen in school, it also happens with the food specifically, right? And the starchitarian diets that these communities prescribe to is not necessarily in the indigenous diet. Ackee is not indigenous to Jamaica. It was brought there by a European scientist. And they already put the bioweapon inside of it, right? That's why you got to do all of these things. And there's aspects of cassava. Look, y'all say that y'all study Sabi. So, did you study Sabi? Have you really been listening to what he says? It was more than just sea moss. And he was talking about more than just broccoli and spinach when he's speaking about hybrid foods, right? He also was very controversial when he came to the States because he was speaking about carrots and how carrots were hybrids, and they also have a level of acidity that actually is negative towards eyesight. They try to string him up for that as well. And he came and he spoke about soy, and they try to string him up as well. You feel me? So if you're going to promote these people and you're going to treat them like you they acolytes and they your master teachers, do the goddamn knowledge to everything that they say. Because that's how you get yourself caught in these situations that look crazy when you promote the name of it because it helps you commercially, but then you don't promote the protocol, you don't promote the paradigm, you don't promote the ideological thinking that comes along with it. You feel me? And you can't be a Sabiite in name alone if that's the case. You can't ride the fame of the name and then totally be dismissive of the protocol or the ideology that comes along with it. And I be seeing mad people trying to remix what the elder said. And that shit is bootleg. But you still want to, make bread and align yourself. You still want to be adjacent to the conversation, but you don't want to adhere to the ideology or the science. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. You feel me? But that's neither here nor there. People should be free to do as they please, right? But when we're talking about health and healing and things of that nature, yeah, everybody want to start cutting corners now. I don't get it. But let's talk about something else, because that shit is too much of a pill to swallow for some people. And there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on in the now time. Yesterday I wanted to put this post up about the NBA, and I said I'll wait, right? And then this information came out. Well, I wanted to put this post up.
Spotted her with her tinted glasses and her blonde bangs when Trump advisor Rudy Giuliani literally kissed her ring on CNN before the first presidential debate back in 2016. But Miriam, otherwise, doesn't really talk to journalists. Her PR team never responded to a list of questions we had submitted to her. And this, luckily, is where our guest today comes in. Because New York Magazine's Elizabeth Weil reported a long cover story about Miriam Adelson, one that finally answered some of the biggest questions I've had about a woman whose wealth, according to Liz, makes her not just the richest Israeli in the world, and not just one of the 10 richest women in the world. She is both of those things, but also, quote, effectively a queen, end quote. And it also, to me, raised some other newer questions, specifically about her husband, her late husband, her better, about a woman whose wealth, according to Liz, makes her not just the richest Israeli in the world, and not just one of the 10 richest women in the world. She is both of those things, but also, quote, effectively a queen, end quote. And it also, to me, raised some other newer questions, specifically about...
So that clip was about Miriam Adelson, who is the richest Israeli woman in the world, and she is the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, right? She's not only the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, her and her husband, right, were single-handedly responsible for electing Benjamin Netanyahu to his position in government, and they also bought Trump's presidency in the last presidency, and Trump is begging her now to become the mega donor so she can bankroll this presidency or this administration or this candidacy for the administration, right? So what we have to understand about this person, she is the most ultra-Zionist person on the planet, they say. There's nobody more radical than her, and she single-handedly, with her money, right, has created the state of Israel as it's known today. She's bankrolling everything. They have already bought all of the politics out and all of the politicians. The NBA said that they don't want her to be the face of the Mavs, and they told her that she had to stand down. She could not be the official face of the Mavs because she's too radical. And you have to understand the difference between jewelry, right? When they call somebody a liberal or left-leaning liberal, that means that they are a northern Eastern Jew that's more liberal than they are, right? Which means they're more democratic than anything else. So the NBA is a non-profit, left-leaning liberal institution that registers more on the side of a Democrat-funded operation than they are Republican, even though, you know, all of the owners probably are Republicans. They told her she couldn't be the face of the Mavs because she was too radical. So she put somebody else up there, and they threw a black woman or some shit up there, right? But let me play this real quick.
Is about how the biggest and most shocking story of the NBA Finals is not the Celtics going up 2-0 or Kristaps Porzingis' return or Drew Holiday being really great at defense or any of that stuff.
None of that.
It's something that isn't happening. The story I want to tell you about is something that nobody else seems to even really be talking about, which is crazy. Because you may recall that when the Brooklyn Nets traded Kyrie Irving to the Dallas Mavericks in February of last year, he was more or less the biggest PR headache in the entire NBA, if not all of sports. He was infamously trafficking in insane and bigoted conspiracy theories. He tweeted out a link to a flagrantly anti-Semitic film on Amazon that featured, among many other things, a fake quote from Hitler. Kyrie refused to apologize. He got suspended. He eventually posted an apology on Instagram and then, of course, deleted that apology not that long after. But I want to be as fair as possible to Kyrie here in that brief summary, because I do believe he has a sincerely held position about world affairs. And it's pretty simple. It's that his conscience could not possibly allow basketball to be his number one priority. It's something that Kyrie explained himself at a post-game presser back in May of 2021 after a major spike of violence in the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, a lot of stuff is going on in this world, and basketball is just not the most important thing to me right now. There's a lot of stuff going on overseas. All my people are still in bondage all across the world, and there's a lot of dehumanization going on. So, I apologize if I'm not going to be focused on y'all questions. It's just too much going on.
So Kyrie pops up woke, right, and rattles the NBA. You all guys remember the run that he went on, right, the Kyrie and the Kanye run. right? And you know who they was talking about. Last November, though, they cornered Kyrie, and the most ultra-Zionist person on the planet buys the Dallas Mavericks from Mark Cuban, right? A lady worth $30 billion who got all of her money from the casinos, gambling, pause, right? And has funneled all of that money, or the majority of that money, to buy out candidacies on both sides of this. She single-handedly has bankrolled the creation, like I said, and the stabilization, militaristically wise, of the state of Israel. Because when Netanyahu came in with his administration, he changed it from attempting to sit at the table and negotiate to only focus on security, right? And then her policy wishes that she wants the West Bank for herself or for her people with no concessions. That is the deal that she's willing to make with Donald Trump this time around to give him the money that he needs, right? So, if any of you guys will remember, I've always been speaking about the blood moons of 2014 and 2015. This is when the ceremonial ritual magic started taking place of the desecration and the destruction of melanated masculinity, specifically the niggas who were sitting at the top with the most money, who thought that they was part of the Billionaires Boys Club. Don Sterling came, right, in mid-April, right after the first blood moon, which was, I believe, April 14th, right, which was a few days after Jay-Z was pictured at a New Jersey Nets game sitting courtside with the Nation of Gods and Earth chain on his neck. It was the game took place on April 6, 2014. I remember this shit like it was yesterday, and it was a New York Post cover, and it was saying that Jay-Z had a chain on from a white hate group, a hate group that hates white people and calls them devils. Okay? Then the first blood moon happened. It was 4 blood moons in a sequence between 2014 and 2015. Right? The Zionists said that they were going to utilize that period to go to war with their enemies and destroy them, because this is what typically happened during the blood tetrad blood moons, which we call the blood moonologues. I scripted my whole Law 44 shit around this. This was a decade ago. So, I told you guys about the Don Sterling shit back then, right? Don Sterling, who was at that time, the richest Zionist in the NBA in terms of league ownership. He was an ultra-Orthodox Zionist, and he was shitting on melanated people to his jump off. He had a call girl and things of that nature, and he was pillow talking to her, and she was recording him, and they leaked it. And what they were saying back then is that fuck them niggas. They are not us. They're not like us. And no money can buy yourself into this club, because a nigga is and a nigga will be a nigga. And they're goyim, and they serve us, and they're our slaves, and fuck them. And the world was in an uproar, but it never really zeroed in on this ideology behind this conversation. And they never explained that this is a far-reaching ideology that's shared and expressed by majority all Zionists. So they forced Don Sterling to sell the team without dealing with the ramifications. And under that blood moon from 2014 to 2015, it was a categorical destruction of melanated masculinity image-wise, because this is when they started dragging the niggers who had the money that thought they was part of the club, and they was emasculating them. And then ritualistically, the first blood moon was the day that Mimi False released her porno, right? The most respectable member of the Love and Hip Hop cast at the time had the whole world looking at her box. She was 44 years old, and the world was focused on her cootie, on her cat during the blood moon, right? And the blood moon deals with iron. It deals with blood. It deals with, where you think that the woman's majority of her blood is at? Is it not in her womb? Yeah, Thug and Uzi hit the scene. This was also around the time that they started killing melanated people indiscriminately under the 44th presidency of Barack Hussein Obama. This is the season of treason, right? This is when they started dropping bodies left and right. Case in point, the second blood moon was October 8th. A day before now, this thing will jump off 9 years later in Palestine and Israel. On October the 8th, a melanated man died in Dallas from Ebola. Look it up. He was a Nigerian African man, and they just saved the nurse that came from Spain, a European woman that gave her the antidote and saved her life. Right? Y'all don't remember this, huh? But the melanated brother from Nigeria flies into Dallas and died in a hospital of Ebola, the first of the case. This is where they create the ritual for pestilence on melanated people encased in crows. Because I'm explaining to you the Kabbalistic magic that took place during these blood moons. On the third blood moon, which was April 4th, it was a Saturday, they shot a melanated man in his back in Charleston, South Carolina, named Walter Scott. You niggas remembered it because they put it on TV and showed you all. He was running from a traffic stop and they shot him in his back. The fourth blood moon, Pope Francis came to Philadelphia. First he flew into DC at 4:04, went and met with the 44th president, and then they drove the Fiat 500 vehicle all the way up to Philadelphia, and he attended a World Family Conference in the home of the place where the Revelation speaks about. Him being the Jesuit, of course, he had to inaugurate that. That's what happened under the 4 blood moons. The Zionists understood that that was their signal to go to war or to chip away on certain aspects of who they considered to be their diabolical enemies who have to be removed. They were shooting our people indiscriminately, and every goddamn police force that murdered our people was trained by the IDF. Go look it up. I got all the receipts. I'm not out here freestyling. I'm telling you what happened. I don't know. I ain't gonna get into that. Right? But that's what happened during the 4 blood moons, chipping away at melanin. Melanin did not register a response at all. The only registered response that melanin came up was hands up, don't shoot, and I can't breathe. That's not going to cut it against the IDF. You see what the IDF is doing in Palestine? That's not going to cut it, my nigga. Hands up, don't shoot ain't going to cut it. Okay? So here we are. However many years later, and now they got the documentary on motherfucking Showtime of Don Sterling reenacting the ritual right after them niggas is up in motherfucking Palestine a day. And I keep telling you, Palestine means, or Ham means a place in Palestine. So if your black ass think that the curse of Ham applies to you, then you're Palestinian. And they keep telling you that you niggas is the Canaanites. And I keep asking you niggas, based on your biblical understanding and your upbringing, who are you according to what your Nana told you with the Bible? Did she not tell you that your niggas was Canaanites? Didn't she tell you that you got the curse of Ham on you? That means that whatever you see happening to the Palestinians, it might be happening to you on a spiritual level, because them higher principalities is a motherfucker. Right? And you connected by threads and strings that you can't even see, based on who you think you are, who you don't know you are, and who you might, actually sign yourself up. The Negro, black, and colored thing, we'll get back to that. Because all of that shit comes with strings attached. And we out here playing these stupid fucking games. And again, y'all trying to vote shame me. And I'm telling you what time it is. So they got the Showtime show on about Don Sterling dealing with the Clippers. And then lo and behold, out of nowhere today, what do we have? Jerry West dies. Jerry West was part of the Clipper organization. I already told you it's a 44 year. 20 plus 24 equals 44. I've been told y'all before the finals even started. I'm like, yo, we might want to sit this one out. I know, yeah, Kyrie, that's my G, that's my nigga. We all want to see him win. But you want to see the Zionists win the chip. You want to see the Zionists win the presidency. You want to see the Zionists win the war. Where does that leave you? Do you even know where you motherfucking register in this conversation? But y'all want to talk to me about the national pride of your country and this, that, and the other. I'm like, nigga, where do you register at? Let's get this shit past food. What role do the Hebrews play in this? Where do y'all end up at in the Bible? What role do the Rastas play? Where do you end up at in the Bible? What role do the Moors play? Where do you end up at in the Bible? Where? Can we have a real fucking conversation? And y'all can stop skating this shit and being triggered by posts about food. Can we talk real? Huh? Because somebody's running around with your identity around the planet causing fucking chaos and travesty. And it's like, it's not that you not moving. Your failure to move means, my nigga, you going to be stuck like Chuck. Because what they got coming up next, the policy that they've already laid out with Project 2025, you don't have no wiggle room. If you're not like organizing now, you got less than 30 days, my nigga, because you're at the mercy of the courts. So if they lock this man up on 7-Eleven and this shit kicks off wholesale and they lock it down because it's in a state of civil war and they still hold an election and they still bring a president in and they still are able to slip in, right, Project 2025, what are you going to do? Look, they got all of this shit is fixed. They got the whole Supreme Court fixed. They got a Supreme Court justice that's sitting up there talking about he's a Christian nationalist and he won't denounce this shit. They recorded them niggas at a meeting and they had a hot mic and they told their whole plans in the meeting. And y'all still is in denial. And we're talking about criminality on every level taking place at a judicial level. I told you with the Pillar Prophet all about judgment, right? The Supreme, what are we talking about? And the whole Clippers program is coded in red and blue. Right? The whole shit. The whole color code for the whole program is red and blue. So I have a tendency to always see myself in narrative and stories that I'm looking into and that I deal with. I don't think that much of myself, nigga. I can't ignore what I see because I'm trained to notice patterns. You feel me? Like, look, I'm looking out at the pool right now. I see red and blue. I see the red tops and I see the blue water. God damn it! I'm just trained to see the patterns. Right? That's what I do. That's me. That's me telling myself I'm a fucking master teacher, my nigga. I don't need nobody else to say it. That's what I do. Pillar prophecy, right? Real time shit. I ain't regurgitating no old ass information in these motherfucking. I'm talking about real time shit. And I don't miss. So, Jerry West dying during the playoffs, the 78th season of the finals. The finals started on the 78th birthday of the NBA. Right? It started on the 78th birthday. He dies at 86. And the Celtics are up 2-0. So I asked, I'm like, shit. I'm like, who was the Celtics' number one opponent? Who was the Celtics' number one opponent historically through time? Was it not the Lakers? Am I missing something? Niggas about to lose a whole lot of motherfucking money betting and gambling, right? Going up against a lady who's worth $30 billion from betting and gambling. They just cooked the books on you niggas. They just cooked the books on you niggas. And y'all want to talk to me about sports and politics. Let's talk. Then we can get back to food. Right? Because niggas got acid on the brain. They got cyanide on the brain, like Sabi always used to say. And it's fucking up your vision. If you got cyanide on the brain, nigga, what your eyesight supposed to be like? And the carrot juice won't cut it. Carrot juice won't cut it. Because you got to have some spiritual insight. Today is 44. It's a 44 day. It's governed by the god Odin. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Fuck out of here, man. Let's talk about it. Where the masters at? I want to talk to the masters. Where the masters at? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Tag them niggas. Let's get them in here. Let's talk about it. So it's the farce. It's the farce. Niggas is out here, it's the farce. I will put my money on the Celtics. If you a betting man, yeah, the Clippers owner. All right, so what happened? Do you guys remember the narrative? Did y'all follow the story? Because I remember this shit. I ain't got to see the documentary or the TV show to remember. Right? Don Sterling had to sell the Clippers. Who does he sell the Clippers to? He sells the Clippers to another 44 resonator. I believe he sells them to Paul Allen, who was the co-founder of Microsoft. Do y'all know when Microsoft was founded? I'm going to ask y'all a question. Do you know when Microsoft was founded? Because y'all could Google this shit. Like, don't be lazy. Damn. You could Google it. April 4th, right? April 4th. It's a 44 resonator. It's founded just like the World Trade Center was founded on April 4th. April 4th, 1975 in Albuquerque, New Mexico is where Microsoft was founded. So Don Sterling turns around and gives it to a 44 resonator who created a company on April 4th. And the motif of the company is what? A box with 4 boxes in it. Not only are they 44 resonators by founding the company on April 4th, the logo was a 44. And this is the richest company in the world right now. Microsoft. So when they say that Miriam Adelson is the 44th richest person on the planet, and I keep throwing these 44s at you and nobody asks the right motherfucking questions, my nigga. Jesus Christ. Help me help you. Apple is not the richest, my nigga. Let's do the research. Nvidia is the second richest, and Microsoft is the first. And if Nvidia just cracked the $3 trillion mark, what you think Microsoft is worth? Right? So it's like they know something about this number 44 that continuously seems to work for them. It deals with control. It deals with complete control, because it's a box within a box within a box. The same way that they showed you with Microsoft. Now Microsoft has humanity in a box within a box within a box with OpenAI, right? Where they have the whole world's information in a box that you call a large language model, or, right? It's literally a box. Feel me? It's literally a box. So when I speak about the number represents the shape, right? A box within a box within a box, which is a tesseract. And now I'm starting to sound Terrence Howardy, and I don't want to sound Terrence Howardy. You feel me? I don't want to sound Terrence Howardy. But we got to speak about cube magic and cube science and the science of Saturn and the box and the cube and all of this shit. Especially if you think that you're going up against these people and their level of sorcery, my nigga. It's not, you ain't gonna cut it with rhetoric. You're not gonna cut it with, social media memes and things of that nature. We got to be a lot more intentional, and we have to have a grown-up conversation about the politics of this country, because there is no, I'm voting for this camp. Fuck what your votes are. She's giving this nigga $100 million. You think that they're going to listen to your votes, or they're going to listen to the person giving them $100 million? Your votes don't mean nothing. You're just aiding in your destruction. You just got a hand in your destruction. And let's not act like, oh, niggas ain't been having a hand in their destruction. This ain't something new to niggas. You feel me? This ain't nothing new to niggas. We've been here. We've been primed for this. We've been primed for this. Let's not pretend like this is gonna be something new. All of a sudden. Let's not pretend. But we have to have a grown conversation about the political landscape right now, because it's not a joke. You literally have people who are funding this campaign, because there's another dude named Dunn, who is the billionaire oil man out of Texas, who's funding the Trump presidency on the side of Christian nationalists. And he has an entire agenda. You feel me? He has an entire agenda laid out. This guy right here. He got an entire agenda laid out to turn America into a theocracy. So you got two major funders. One wants to turn America into a theocracy, and the other one wants to turn Israel into the most sovereign state possible and take the West Bank from the settlers and set up Gaza for Israeli quote-unquote settlers and everything, kick the Palestinians out, and literally create World War III on the dime of a president who you think is going to cut you a stimmy check. Not understanding that the reason that he cut the stimmy check is because there was a goddamn pandemic. So in so many words, you want there to be another pandemic so Trump could cut you a check. That's what you're telling me? That's why you voting for that? Did you even read this? Did you go to the Rolling Stones and read about the Christian kingpin that's funding his presidency? And what these people are saying? Did you read Project 2025? It's a 999-page document. They don't leave nothing to the imagination. Everything is laid out there. And like the sister said on the program, they have already passed key parts of that legislation in the last election that we sat out. The local one from a few months ago. The shit just popped up on my screen. It was like, elections today. I was like, they ain't say nothing about elections today. They're working in tandem. When the Zionists cut a check, let's say it's $1, 50 cents go to the Democrats and 50 cents go to the Republicans. It don't matter who you vote for. You're voting for the Zionist candidates. You're voting for Zionists, nigga. How you don't get this? You're going to need a better plan. You feel me? You're going to need a better plan, my nigga. You're going to need a laser and a missile at this point. Especially if you think that this country is quote-unquote yours. Especially if you think that you're conscious, or if they think that you're woke. This whole policy is about destroying wokeness. Like literally destroying it. Not just through policy, running down on this shit. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about a full-fledged, they're talking about purge, nigga. They're talking about purge as legislation. The first 100 days of the administration. And our people are championing this because they don't read. Right? And if I'm saying this about if I'm saying this about the Republicans, I'm saying the same thing about the Democrats. There are no options. How about that? Now what? Can we have a real conversation afterwards? There are no options. All the options is off the table. What are you going to do to take your country back? Right? How you going to make America great again? How you going to make America great again? How you going to make America indigenous again? How you going to do that? Because they coming for it all. They're coming for it all. And we're going to, and people are going to sheepishly have a hand in it, thinking that there's a difference, not understanding who are the people who pull the strings behind the curtain. Those are the string pullers. Those are the puppeteers. And they're showing you who they are. On the Christian nationalist side, it's done. On the Zionist side, it's Miriam Adelson, the richest Israeli on the planet. I feel bad for Kyrie. I don't have no idea you know what I mean? I can't even perceive what his stress level must be like, because he's media trained. This nigga has said nothing outside of the bounds of what he's been told to say. They got him cornered, right? And the way that he's playing kind of shows that at this point. And that's a sad situation, because I seen his highlight reel the day before I seen the story about Adelson. And I was rooting for him. And I can't root for him no more because I don't want her to win. And that puts us in a weird situation, in a weird place. The weirdest ever. You feel me? But I gotta vote with my politics, right? So if I'm voting with my politics, that means that I'm taking my mental powers and I'm shifting them to the other team. That's why they've been winning. That's why they've been winning. Right? Because they said somebody got to win. Somebody got to win. You feel me? So Boston would be the left-leaning liberal Zionists, and the ones in Dallas are the right-leaning, you know what I'm saying, ultra-Zionists that deal with the neocons and things of that nature. Feel me? So they taped the Supreme Court Justice Alito Roberts and his wife the other day at a private function. Somebody had a microphone on them, and they were in there speaking about their political beliefs and their disavowalment of the left and the media and their unwillingness to make any concessions or forgiveness. And all of these people are speaking about having a vendetta, right? November the 5th, election day, is the day of Guy Fawkes. That's the movie V for Vendetta. So we are actively saying that we're going to vote on a candidate who is openly saying, yo, I got a vendetta with my enemies. And when I get up in there, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to start crushing skulls. I'm going to start crushing skulls of my enemies, and I'm going to target people. And they have this in the legislation. It's in Project 2025 about how they're going to go about doing this. That's called a dictatorship. People are saying that they're going to vote for a totalitarian government, right? That is going to strip people of all of their quote-unquote rights. It would appear to be, right? It would appear to be. If you're going to remove 20-something million quote-unquote immigrants from this country, then you have to initiate a track and trace program, which means that everybody is an op until they're not an op. Because how can you tell who's who and what's what at this point? Those people are so entrenched into this environment. How you going to find them? And how you going to get rid of them? And what is that going to mean for melanated people that might look like quote-unquote immigrants? And then they're going to close the border to Muslims again. So they're continuing their crusade against the people who they say they got beef with, but you don't never see them wanting to smoke with Satanists, right? Isn't that their real enemies? Wouldn't you think that the clearest enemy of these people would be Satanists? If they're Christian nationalists, aren't they at war with the devil? They're in a culture war, right? And in the legislation. Now here's the pinch. If you read the legislation, in the first part of it, it says that the biggest threat to this country is the product of fatherless homes. You know who they're talking about, right? And they say the biggest threat is the absentee fathers. So you know who they're talking about. And it's an identical legislation that came out in 1965 with something called the Negro Family that was written by Patrick Moynihan, where the Democrats said that the biggest threat to America was the single black family home, or the child that comes out of a single black family home, because they will be the most non-productive member of society. They said, let's pull the plug on them now before it grows into a full-blown situation. So years later, when Biden comes with the crime bill and they call people super predators, they are doing it from the legislation that was passed by the New York State Senator Patrick Moynihan in his PDF called The Negro Family, which you can go read online, right? Go read the part of chapter 4 was called the pathological, what's it called? The pathological problem. They talk crazy in there. Chapter 4, the tango pathology is what it's called, where they speak about how exactly they feel about you, specifically single mother homes, right? They using the same language. You feel me? They're in the same boat. They're rocking you to sleep, my nigga. This is about you. And you getting tricked into thinking that they have a division or they got beef, nigga. They're running down on you finally. They're dealing with their Negro problem once and for all. The jab couldn't do it. Jab couldn't do it, right? So, speaking about the Negro, they just released a part of Malcolm X's book that has never been, it wasn't released. And this chapter was the chapter called The Negro. And the shit that he's saying about the Negro then is the same shit that we're saying about the Negro and the nigger now. Because the nigger is the Negroes with attitude. That's what a nigger is. A Negro with attitude who has refused to grow above the knees, right? You have a melanated Africanoid body with a European anglicized mind. That's the definition of a nigger, right? And it has become an existential issue. You feel me? It has become an existential issue where we resonate with the lowest rung of our society, right? And the lowest rung of our society is always going to be the criminality. The criminality of our society can never be the cream of the crop. It's always the lowest comments, lowest rung, but the exception has now become the rule. And the elevated, the God mind is supposed to lead the society or lead a people that has been destroyed and decimated and removed by the corporations' attack on consciousness, aided and assisted by the gangsters, the pimps, and everything else that did the bidding of the CIA, the FBI, and the NYPD, and the rest of the local police departments when they said, we got beef with these conscious, righteous niggas too. And then the pimps was like, we can't prostitute these bitches. And the hustlers said, we can't sell this dope. So they's like, we gonna get together and get rid of these niggas. And that's what happened. So that's why I said, you can't trust a motherfucker who done sold drugs, right? They already sold out the black community. Look, that's still slime, right? We identify with the lowest common denominators. We're celebrating Young Thug's lawyer because he won't snitch. And we like, oh, he's one of us. He's a real one. Granted, but we love the anti-hero, right? We love the anti-hero. And there's an ideology behind that. I don't even knock that. We'll get into that at some point. Because the anti-hero is the anti-Haru. But they have taken Haru and made him Horus. So the anglicized version of Christ means that in this society, I will be an anti-Christ because I'm anti-white Christ, right? So until you get that concept situated and corrected, yeah, we're going to be anti-Christ. Because the version of Christ that they represent is not the version of Christ that I identify with. So I would be an anti-Christ, right? What I'm doing right now is anti-Christ. Because who was the system Christ, or was the system something that Christ fought against? Right? Is Christ going to uphold the system, or is Christ going to rally against the system? So will the real Christos please stand up? Right? But how you going to destroy the community and then be the savior of it? Everything that we're looking at around the country with gentrification can only have been done. It started with redlining and all of that. But every place where they gentrified is the places where niggas burnt the hood down because they was hustling. So the war on drugs is what destabilized black communities by bringing the price value down, and they was able to come in there and buy them shits for $1. Tell me that I'm wrong, nigga. Tell me that I'm wrong. Yeah, there was economic damage. There was banking discrimination. There was mad shit that was done. But the fucking nail in the coffin is when we picked up the work and did they bidding for them. The sons of the mothers who was fighting to own them homes and pay them mortgages pulled the fucking rug from underneath them and went Hunter Biden on the family. And we can't see that. And we still supporting this shit to this day. And we still holding these Negroes up. And we still don't get it what the Negro problem is. We totally missed it, huh? We totally missed it. We totally missed out on this shit. We don't get it. We're so fucking confused. It's right in our face and we can't see it. Because so many people's hands is dirty. So many people is complicit. So many niggas fell for the devil's poison. So many niggas ate the Aki. You niggas is killing me. And they want to defend poison. They want to defend poison tooth and nail. I don't want to be liked. I just want to be right. Look, man, that's my bill for the day. I don't even got no more time. My shit is about to die. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go jump in the pool and cool off. Because obviously, you know what I'm saying? I'm just looking too far into this. I guess. I'm over here tripping. So I'm going to take my melanated ass and I'm going to put it in this chlorine-laced water. And we're going to bring it down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? If I said anything offensive, I don't want to offend. That's not the goal here. And I don't want to be liked. But I still don't want to offend. That's unnecessary. You feel me? Because everything that I'm still doing is out of love. Right? And if I got to be right and not liked for the sense of love and truth to come out, because love and truth is synonymous. And if we're going to stand on truth, that's the highest form of love. But that means that you probably won't be liked, right? But at one point in some time, maybe you may be redeemed. You might not be around to see this shit. But God damn it, standing on truth. You feel me? And I'm going to die on my sword. Peace.